Sunday, July 31. Between Saul and David. The king, Saul, seemed little less than a madman. He was abandoned of God, but he was not filled with godly sorrow for the evil course he had pursued. He was remorseful, passionate, and unable to exercise reason. The Lord had declared by the lips of Samuel the condition of the disobedient. Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. These words found their verification in the life of Saul. The uncontrolled passions of his wicked heart made him unfit to receive counsel or advice. He refused all instruction and acted as if possessed of a demon. Justice was perverted to cruelty, and order was turned into confusion. Oh, that Saul had humbled his proud heart before God! But anger rests in the bosom of fools, transforming those who have been made in the image of God into the image of the evil one. Saul had a mind and influence capable of governing a kingdom, if his powers had been submitted to the control of God. But the very endowments that qualified him for doing good could be used by Satan when surrendered to his power, and would enable him to exert widespread influence for evil. He could be more sternly vindictive, more injurious, and determined in prosecuting his unholy designs than could others because of the superior powers of mind and heart that had been given him of God. He had ruined his own soul and had wrought the ruin of his house, but he was impenitent and hardened. He had brought injury and disgrace upon himself. Signs of the Times, October 19, 1888. There is no safety for the people of God except in implicit obedience to His word. All His promises are made upon conditions of faith and obedience, and failure to comply with the expressed commands necessitates the failure of your experiencing the fulfillment of the rich provisions of the Scriptures. Saul might have made his supplication to God in an acceptable manner, and still he might have waited for the servant of God to perform his appointed work. There was no need of forcing himself to offer a burnt offering before the Lord. The command to wait till the arrival of Samuel was given to test his loyalty to the God who had so abundantly blessed him. If the king had only shown a regard for the requirements of God in this time of trial, then God could have worked His will through him, even when his inclination and natural desire might have clamored for a different course of action. His failure now proved him unfit to be vicegerent of God to his people. He would mislead Israel. His will would be the controlling power instead of the will of God. He had been weighed in the balances and had been found wanting. Angels of God had been grieved over his unbelief and disobedience, and his failure in this small test decided the most important question of his reign. If he had been faithful, his kingdom would have been established forever. But since he had failed, the purposes of God must be accomplished by another who would be true to the word of his commandment. The great interests of Israel must be committed to one who would rule the people according to the will of heaven. Signs of the Times, May 11, 1888.